Hey kids, cook real food. Katie Kimball here, and we are talking meal planning today. Meal planning is something that is key and vital to your success in eating healthy food, in my opinion, and many other people say that it's the foundation as well. And today I'm very pleased to have Allison Schaaf here with us. She is the founder of Prep Dish, which is a meal planning membership, a monthly thing that can help you out. And she's got just a great background for talking to us about kids' nutrition as well. She has a degree in culinary nutrition as well as a master's in nutrition communications. She's a registered dietitian as well. So like this huge, what I see there is like just a huge foundation of knowing what people need to eat. And she's become an expert on meal planning through Prep Dish. So thank you so much for being here with us, Allison.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to chat with you today.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really good. And we got to start with your background, because I feel like a lot of people have like a normal job and then they have a health crisis and they go back and become a nutritionist. But I noticed that you have that nutrition thread all the way through, right from your undergraduate work. So I was immediately curious, like, how did you get interested in healthy foods, and at what age did that start becoming important to you?
Yeah, so I think it started with cooking. When I was like either junior high, like early high school, I really started to enjoy cooking. My mom, I love her. She's not, never liked to spend a lot of time in the kitchen. And so I kind of started playing around in the kitchen and really enjoyed it. And I had a high school I was in home ec, and I had a home ec instructor that took notice of this and set me up with a job cooking in the summers for a small business. So I cooked for people every day and really loved it. Wanted to go to culinary school, but I knew I didn't want to be a chef at a restaurant. And I always felt like if I was going to spend time cooking, that, it should be nutritious and healthy. I was in sports and, just that made sense to me. So I wanted, I had the nutrition interest, I had the culinary interest, and I knew that I wanted to combine them, but didn't know how. And it's funny because now, however many years later, it's kind of come full circle, and I actually have done just that. I've combined the nutrition and culinary interests that I always thought I would combine somehow, but I think other people were confused, but I knew what I was doing.
I love that you were interested in both cooking and healthy food as a young person. Like, how did you know that healthy food was important? Was there an influence in your life or just sports?
Yeah, I think it was really just sports, and I don't know. It just was something that I was always, I think because I was in the kitchen, and when I was in the kitchen, I would I was weird. I would love to do experiments, and I would have my parents, they complain about this, and it's funny because I still do this today, but I would have them fill out surveys, my dad would complain because in order to eat the cookie, they would have to write out this 2-page survey.
No,
and today I'm still making people fill out surveys about my food, but
yeah. Oh my gosh, it started way back then. That's fantastic. I mean, I think there's a tip there for parents in some ways. Like, if your kids are in sports, use that as a springboard to, teach them and get them to own it, that healthy food is important for their performance. That's fantastic. Yeah. So when it comes to teaching our kids about nutrition and trying to help them build that foundation of enjoying healthy food, we hate to overwhelm kids with too many nitty-gritty details, right? Like, it can be overwhelming even as an adult to figure out what to eat and why. And there's so many kids worrying about food, especially middle school, high school. They're worrying about their weight already. Orthorexia is a thing where you worry about every bite that you put in your mouth. So we want to focus on the positive and the practical. Do you have some strategies to distill health and nutrition down for kids? Like, what's a couple most important lessons that all children should know and understand?
Well, I think one important part is, and this is kids and adults alike, and I think it's, don't focus on the like you said, don't focus on the negative, the what can I not have. Focus on what you can have. And that's kind of the approach I've always taken, is food should be fun, food should be enjoyable. When you go to the grocery store, let them pick out a new food item, but have some structure around that. When we're in the produce section, pick out something we haven't tried before, maybe a new piece of fruit or a new vegetable, and not okay, let's try the new fun cereal. That shouldn't be included in the exercise, but, just kind of have that focus on what you can eat, and not, so that way it's not like, all about like restriction or what I can't have, but a focus on, wow, all these healthy foods and where they come from and that sort of thing.
So how would you explain to kids, and obviously this will be different based on the age, but how would you explain to kids what is a healthy food? Like, yeah, I want to eat healthy food. What do I eat?
Yeah, so for me, I love the idea of, if you can, is there a community garden? Is there some way to start in the garden to really like understand food from the beginning? Because then you can kind of be like, showing where your food comes from, and it's not just like some box in the grocery store. So, again, like going back to the original exercise, for a little one, have fun with trying something new, and have that be something that's modeled in the family as well. So if you have, if you're a picky eater as a parent, it's really easy to hand that down to your kids. Kids learn their behavior somewhere. So I think you really have to be careful with the language that you use around food, around diet, around body image, all of those things. Just, anything that comes out of your mouth is going to go straight to their head and like right out their mouth too. So
Very true.
Being careful in what you're modeling there is important.
Okay, so you would start with talking about where food comes from and whether you can get into a garden or not. You can even look at pictures, hey, Google, show me some pictures of whatever.
Yeah.
So kind of like your basic rule for what can we eat is how close is it to the plant, or how close is it to like nature, how it is naturally.
Exactly, because I think the whole thing is, how can you eat more real food, and how can you eat it in a more natural form? And I think that's kind of a basic concept for kids and adults, to be honest, of like, okay, how much of my diet is coming from processed foods versus how much of it's just like a natural food that we can recognize in its like true form. And so if you can teach that concept early on and get them interested in that, it can make a huge difference.
Definitely. We did a couple of videos on helping kids read ingredients and nutrition labels. So I'll link to those wherever we share this video, just because it's so helpful. Like, I love your first step, right? Like, let's eat more things that are close to the way, they are grown, or they are in nature if you're talking animal products. But then, guaranteed all families are going to buy some boxes, right? So how do we, for older kids, how do we start to figure out with ingredients like what is closer to the earth and what is a less processed food? So it's just kind of that progression. But yeah, starting with the vegetables and the fruits and getting them in there is so good. Now, your business now as a nutritionist, you're not like working one-on-one with clients, but I can see how the meal planning is completely related. So the meal planning service, again called Prep Dish, definitely helps people eat better, and it's furthering, good nutrition for everyone. But how did you decide to transition and make meal planning this main focus? Like, why is meal planning so important?
Well, for one thing, the transition was I was working with people one-on-one. So, I was doing the one-to-one where I was going in and cooking for people. And the process I used with my clients was meal prep. Like because in order to bring on more than, one client, be a private chef that just works for one person, I would go in and see multiple people each week and basically meal prep for them. And as I was doing that, it was like, okay, well, I'm helping 5 people, and it's great. It actually was really nice. I had a connection with them. I saw that it made a difference. One thing was for myself, it was hard to go home and cook dinner from scratch every night. And I started not eating as healthy because I didn't want to cook when I got home. So then I started thinking, well, why don't I do the same thing for myself with what I'm doing with my clients, which is the meal prep thing. So I started doing that for myself. And then as that was really like working, I thought, gosh, if I wanted to reach more people with this is the key. How can you be efficient? Because over the years as a personal chef, I really learned efficiency. I learned how do you get in and out of the grocery store as quickly as possible. You have a list. You make the list in the, you start with the order of the grocery stores, and when you make that list. So just all these little things that I was learning on how do you make healthy food quick, easy, efficient, all of those things. I'm like, well, in order to reach a lot of people and teach them how to do this, the meal plan, I kind of wrote it out and sent it to this designer who made it look pretty. And I'm like, yeah, that's the outline that I use when I'm helping my clients or myself eat healthy. So.
Okay, so what really sets Prep Dish apart is that it's not only meal planning, it includes instructions for how to like batch prep. Can you give us a little example of what does batch prepping look like?
So, it's what I was doing for my clients back as a chef was, spending say 2 hours on Saturday afternoon or Monday evening doing all the hard work and batching it for efficiency. So chopping all your vegetables, cooking your grain, mixing up a sauce or a marinade. And so then that way throughout, and the plan provides specific instructions, like here's the 10 things you have to do today, so that throughout the week, the meals are really simple. So you get to dinner on Wednesday and the marinade's there. You stick the fish in it for 20 minutes and you preheat your oven. The veggies are already chopped. So all you're doing is, throwing the fish and the vegetables in the oven, but you don't have to do the chopping because that was all done on Monday. And there's a lot of efficiencies that come with doing it all at once.
That's cool. I always call that a little gift to yourself, right? You're investing that time in like, here, future self, I'm going to make life easier for you. And it's such a beautiful thing.
I say that a lot too. I'm like, your future self will thank you.
Exactly. So now, super practical. Our audience is full of busy families. Most of them have multiple kids. A lot actually have more than 3. A lot of them are homeschooling. So they're juggling a ton of just things and schedules and boundaries in their house. And so I want to know like best golden nugget tip for them to be able to increase the amount of healthy food that their family eats.
I mean, the number one thing is to have some sort of plan. And that can look like a lot of things, but the plan shouldn't come at 6 o'clock at night. That is it comes into decisions and how do we make decisions? I make a much better decision when I'm like, okay, on Friday afternoon, I'm going to spend an hour thinking through my meals for the next week. I'm going to make a lot of great decisions on what those meals should look like because I've created some time and space to do that. When it's 6 o'clock and I'm hungry and my husband wants to eat and I'm not going to make the best decision. I'm going to do whatever fast and easy and sounds good at the time. So, I think the first step is just taking a step back and trying to figure out how you can make better decisions. And for me, that's having a plan. So when you go to the grocery store, have a plan. When you go to when you go to make dinner, have a plan that's already laid out. And if your food's already chopped, you're not going to go for anything else because you're going to be like, man, I spent, an hour doing all of this. I don't want to not do it. I've had subscribers write in and be like, I was tempted to do takeout, but I just couldn't bring myself to like let the food that I'd already made like go bad. And so like I had my neighbor come over for dinner because it was already made or whatever it is. So that way when life gets busy, it's like you've already set yourself up for success.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I know there are people out there who are like, yeah, but I want to eat what I feel like on that day. Like I can't plan ahead. I'd feel confined and restricted. And I guess to those people, I have certain advice. I'm guessing it's similar from you. Like, first of all, you could plan some meals and just be ready for all of them, but be able to kind of switch them out throughout the week or figure out how to have the right food on hand to make those meals. And if you're batch prepping, you could, you don't have to do Tuesday's meal Tuesday. Maybe you feel like Wednesday's meal. So I still think that there's a huge place for planning, even for those people who love to be spontaneous. We promise you guys, it's worth it. It's so nice. It's so much better than, I'm going to spontaneously order pizza.
No, I mean, it's exactly what you say. So I'm a rule breaker and I do my meal plans, but 1, I never follow the recipes exactly, even though they're my own recipes. And 2, I don't do them exactly in the days. Like you said, like I'll get to the night and, I may decide I'm going to have the salad and sometimes I'll mix up the proteins and the vegetables. And I don't know why. I think maybe it's just because I don't like to follow rules, but the fact that it's chopped and ready to go, that's like the large part of it. And whether you want to follow it day by day, exactly, you're right. As long as it's there, then you've already made the choices of the healthy meals and you can be, spontaneous if you need to be. So.
Yeah, exactly. You just keep yourself within those boundaries of the real food that you want to eat. Exactly. And we had we were doing a sheet pan dinner once, and it just got too late. It was like 20 minutes before we should be eating. Well, sheet pan dinner takes like an hour, but we had everything was ready, everything was in the fridge, and so I was just able to saute it all up. And so that's where kind of knowing a little bit about cooking can help you adapt things too, which is of course why we love teaching kids to cook here at Kids Cook Real Food, so that they have that power. They're empowered to be able to, change things up and make decisions like that. And I gotta say though, meal planning's not part of our course. It is something that parents say, like this would be a good next thing. So I'd love to hear your tips for kids. How can we get our kids incorporated in the meal planning, and or like kind of teach them how to do it as they get older?
Yeah, well, the cool thing about meal planning is because you have more time where you're doing the prep, it allows you to incorporate kids, I feel like from a younger age, because you have kind of that time allowed. So, if you have a little kid and you just are going to have them peel the carrot, they can spend an hour peeling that carrot because you're going to be in the kitchen for an hour. So whatever task they're doing, they can spend as much time as they want on that task and helping you out, because you can be doing all these other things while they're doing their one task. So I feel like, having that dedicated meal prep time is a great way to get kids involved from an early age, because you don't have to, have as much patience in some ways.
Sure. And you're not running up on, I need to get dinner on the table. I cannot slow down with you, because Do you recommend people put the prep time in their calendar? Like that's a standing appointment?
If it's scheduled, it's so much better. And, and actually the first step is like the grocery list. And because it's a grocery list, schedule the grocery list. Like if you know that the groceries are going to come in on a certain time, and then have your prep time scheduled. And if you want to have, some people do a family thing where everyone in the family helps out with it. Some people break it up and they like having the instructions. So, if they have a teenager that gets home before they do, they can read the instructions and they can preheat the oven. They can, get dinner in the oven, or the husband can, or, whoever it is. And so that's the cool thing where everyone's working off one plan, is that you can pitch in and have people help out at different points depending on the schedule that week.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. And you can't do that if you don't have a plan, or if your plan's kind of loosey-goosey in your own brain.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I sort of interrupted you too. Did you have any ideas on incorporating kids in the actual planning, like choosing meals and figuring out grocery shopping and all that?
Yeah. So, one, just after the meals. And so this is the thing that's really cool is, with Prep Dish, people are trying new foods and they're often surprised that their kids like the meals that they like. And so it's a really cool way to, what one lady said, how did she put it? She said, because she would say it was like Allison's recipe or something. And so like her kids, because like they knew it wasn't her recipe, for some reason, they were like more open to them or something, because she was saying like, she was just, I think, presented in a different way. Like, we're trying these new recipes. And the other thing was like, sometimes new is the normal. So they know that each week they're getting new recipes. And then that way, if there's one that's a dud, they're not as upset about it, because they know next week there's going to be other new recipes. So the more you can get in the habit of like, hey, we're going to be doing new things, then it's not the expectation like, oh, I hate this, I have to throw a big fit. It's like, okay, well, maybe we'll try the next one and it'll be better. So that really helps. But yeah, once they do have the favorites, repeating those and listening to them and, letting, them have some say and like, okay, I know you really like those, like that roasted broccoli that we made. So let's, repeat that. And kind of going back to the, trying new foods, just getting them excited about that, and maybe letting them try a new fruit, like maybe let them be in charge of the snack for the week, and that the snack is a fruit and they can pick out the fruit. So
yeah. I love that idea of new is the normal. Having something new is the normal, because man, we do. And I think, one strategy that is recommended for a lot of busy families is just rinse and repeat. Just have like 4 weeks of meals that you like, and just do it over and over, or even 2 weeks. So you're literally eating the same thing every 2 weeks. That is great for efficiency, but I really like the idea of like, if your kids know that you're having new recipes every week, or at least even one like new recipe day, I do want to challenge parents to like get out of your comfort zone a little bit and try some new recipes at least once a week. And that is, I mean, that comes back to meal planning too. Like there's no way you can do new recipes without planning ahead and taking some time, you know, to sit down and do that. And we tell kids, I'll link to this video too. I have a video where I talk to kids about meal planning, and I tell them, you know, if you plan a meal and tell your parents that you will make it using your skills, guaranteed you get to eat what you want. Yeah. So that's a huge benefit, you know, for kids trying to take, you know, some control or some agency there.
Yeah, no, that's fun. I've seen, was it, I think it was Lisa with 100 Days of Real Food, and her kids are maybe junior high age, and so they do like one day a week they get to plan the meal, and they're in charge, and they have to like make sure the groceries are there, and you know, it's a really cool skill. So.
Yeah, it's a great system if families can do that, to have one meal a week. We're doing that this year, where Sundays the kids have to plan and prep. And you know, with meal planning, I always say it's as individual as people's personalities. There's so many styles of meal planning, and there's so many systems and softwares and programs and memberships out there that will do it for you. And I do think that it, you know, they all connect with different people. Right. Exactly. So I'm sure like Prep Dish is probably perfect for some people. It probably doesn't sound great to others, or like, oh, that's not my jam. So what do you think are some features of it that would really connect with people's personalities?
Yeah. So it's funny because, so on one time I did a Myers-Briggs thing where I sent it out because I was like, I bet you know, they're all planners, and, you know, that's why they love it so much. And I don't know. It was kind of all over the place with the Myers-Briggs, because I think some of them, it's like they like planning and they can appreciate it. And then other people, it's like, well, they're horrible at it, so they like that we do it for them and all that. But, you know, the big feature that people really like with Prep Dish is having that meal prep time. And so being able to do that ahead of schedule and not having to like do everything from scratch every night at dinner time. And you know, some people enjoy, you know, spending time every evening kind of unwinding and cooking. So for that person, you know, the meal prep isn't going to be as satisfying. So, but yeah, that's the main thing that people come to us for, is like, okay, we really like having that, you know, my future self will thank me kind of attitude. So.
Yeah, very, very cool. And then all the food is real food, healthy, stuff like that. Do you have any options for different dietary needs?
Yeah, so it's all, everything's gluten-free. I'm gluten intolerant, so none of my recipes ever have gluten. And then we have a paleo option as well. And in our newsletter, we give substitution ideas for pork, seafood, nuts. Dairy is always optional. So we really try and listen to, you know, what are the major things that people are looking to avoid, and help with those as well.
Okay. Oh, that's so nice, because I know that can be a really big concern. Anything that, you know, has food involved and someone else is doing the choosing for you, people need to be careful with that. Yeah. So let's end with something fun. Whenever I interview chefs, I love to ask them about their favorite meal as a kid and then what it is now. I think it's always really cool for kids especially, but parents too, to see how people's tastes change, right? That gives parents hope, you know, even if your kid's favorite food is ice cream or whatever. So how about, what's your story? What was your favorite food as a kid?
It was funny when I saw you were going to ask this, like, because I thought back and I'm like, well, gosh, it has totally changed, because I remember as a kid, I'm going to say this because when my mom would ask for a birthday meal, this was what I remember selecting one year, but it was chicken and rice with like the canned soup on top.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I haven't had that since high school, but that was the thing. I love the chicken, rice, and canned soup. So that was my meal. And now it's a lot trickier, because I hate being cornered into one meal. I always say one, it depends on like the season, because in the winter, like I really love, you know, either a really nice, like a lamb curry or a stew or something like that. Whereas in the summer, my choice would be something different, like I love a really good salad in the summer. And I don't know, like I think more it's like I want a meal that's really fresh and seasonal and full of flavor now. So definitely different than when I was a kid.
Yeah, that's a fair answer. We'll accept that answer. Cool. Well, thank you so much, Allison. And again, Allison is founder of Prep Dish, and we will share links to that anywhere we share this video, so you can find her online. And lots of great ideas for that batching, that little gift to self, and how to kind of structure your week so that the actual like preparing of dinner is not crazy, because nobody wants that. Everybody feels that like crazy time right around 5, 6 o'clock, and nobody wants it. So this is a fantastic way to avoid it. Thanks so much for talking with us today, Allison.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was fun.
Great. And everyone come back next week for more practical tips, interviews, recipe demos, and more.